Somewhere in the forgotten pages of ancient history, there are records of a device that should not exist. A machine capable of measuring time with impossible precision, long before modern science was born. But the question remains: how did an ancient civilization build something that resembles time technology thousands of years ahead of its time? And more importantly, what were they really trying to measure? The story begins beneath the ocean. In the early 20th century, deep below the surface of the Mediterranean Sea, divers searching through a sunken shipwreck discovered something unusual. At first, it appeared to be nothing more than a corroded mass of bronze fragments, but historians soon discovered something even more mysterious. Inside the fragments were gears. Not simple tools, but a complex mechanical system far too advanced for its time. This was not an artifact of decoration. It was a machine. As researchers carefully studied the object, they realized something extraordinary. The gears were arranged in a way that suggested motion, calculation, prediction. Ancient engravings surrounded the device, symbols, markings, and inscriptions. But the real secret was still hidden. What archaeologists uncovered next shocked the entire academic world. This device could track celestial movements. It could predict eclipses. It could map planetary cycles. And even more disturbing, it could simulate time itself. But how could this be possible? Ancient civilizations were never believed to possess such technological understanding. Yet here it was, a machine that seemed to belong in a modern laboratory, buried in the ruins of the past. As the investigation deepened, historians began comparing this device to known ancient technologies. Nothing came close. There were no blueprints, no earlier prototypes, no evidence of gradual development. It appeared suddenly, as if it had been introduced rather than invented. But the real mystery was not just the machine, it was the implication. If such technology existed once, what else has been lost? Old manuscripts began to resurface. Ancient texts spoke of mechanisms of the heavens, devices used to understand the rhythm of time. But historians soon discovered something even more mysterious. Some texts suggested these devices were not just tools, but gateways of knowledge. As researchers pieced together fragments of history, a pattern began to emerge. Across different civilizations, similar references appeared. Hidden knowledge, lost devices, forgotten sciences. And then came the maps. Ancient star charts carved into stone and preserved in ruins across distant lands. They showed precise astronomical data that should have been impossible to calculate without advanced instruments. But the real secret was still hidden, because all these clues pointed to one terrifying possibility. Ancient civilizations may have understood time in ways we still do not. And if that is true, then this machine was not just measuring time, it was revealing something far deeper, something humanity was never meant to fully understand. As the fragments were reconstructed, a new layer of the mystery began to unfold. This was no longer just about discovery. It was about understanding. Because the deeper scientists looked, the more impossible the device became. This was not just a machine, it was a system built with a level of precision that should not have existed in the ancient world. But then, something even stranger appeared. Hidden within the mechanism were patterns, not random, not decorative, but coded. The gears were not just moving, they were calculating, tracking cycles, repeating sequences, mathematical relationships that mirrored the motion of the universe itself. It was as if the device was designed to synchronize with time, not measure it. And that changes everything. Because measuring time is simple, but synchronizing with it requires understanding its deeper nature. As researchers pushed further, they discovered something even more unsettling. The machine was not limited to observing the present. It could project patterns, forward and backward, simulating events before they happened and after they passed. Not perfectly, but with a level of accuracy that defied explanation. This was not just prediction, this was modeling time itself. And then came the realization. If this machine could simulate time, then whoever built it understood time as something more than a straight line, perhaps as a cycle, or something even more complex. Ancient texts suddenly began to make sense. References to cycles within cycles, time repeating itself, the universe moving in patterns. Ideas that were once dismissed as philosophy were now beginning to look like science. But there was one final detail that changed everything. The scale of knowledge required to build such a device was enormous. It would have taken generations, centuries of continuous development. And yet, there is no record of that development. No earlier designs, no evolution, no history. Only the result, complete, precise, and far ahead of its time. Which leads to one unavoidable conclusion. This knowledge was not lost. It was never fully recorded in the first place, as if it was never meant to be understood by everyone. Only used, only preserved in fragments. And if that is true, then this machine was not built for ordinary people. It was built for those who already understood. And that raises a far darker question. If such knowledge existed once, where is it now? And more importantly, who was it meant for? Because perhaps we are not rediscovering the past, we are uncovering something that was deliberately hidden. For centuries, this machine remained silent, hidden beneath the ocean, forgotten by time, waiting, not to be discovered, but to be understood. Because the deeper we explore its secrets, the more unsettling the truth becomes. This was never just a device built to observe the universe. It was something more, something far more precise, far more intentional. Because when scientists completed the final reconstruction, they uncovered something they did not expect. The machine was incomplete, not broken, not damaged, but unfinished, as if a crucial part was missing. And that changes everything. Because if this was only a fragment, then what we have discovered is not the full machine. It is only a piece of something much larger, something far more powerful, and far more dangerous. Because the calculations, the patterns, the precision, all point toward a system that was never meant to exist alone. It was part of a network, a system designed to work together, multiple devices connected across time and space, synchronizing with each other, tracking something on a scale we still cannot comprehend. But what? What could require such a system? The answer may lie in the stars. Ancient star charts, once thought to be symbolic, now reveal something terrifying. They do not just map the sky, they map change, cycles, repeating events, patterns that occur again and again across time itself. And if these patterns are real, then history is not random. It is predictable, controlled by forces we do not yet understand. Because what this machine suggests is that time is not a straight line. It is a loop, a repeating sequence of events locked in motion. And if that is true, then everything we know has already happened before, and will happen again. But here is the most disturbing part. If ancient civilizations understood these cycles, then they may have known what was coming. Disasters, collapses, the rise and fall of entire civilizations. And perhaps they built these machines not to predict the future, but to